I'm a strong believer that every style, at least when it comes to drums, has its own independence. And this kind of independence is based around usually one or two limbs keeping an ostinato, and then one or two limbs being free in order to embellish or to accent or comment on the music. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If you're playing swing, your ostinato is on the right cymbal and the hi-hat, usually. That's how you start studying it anyway, which would be, obviously, you can also do 4 on the floor, feathering the bass drum. So that would be your basic ostinato. And then you want to have your left hand free in order to comment on whatever's going on with the music. So there's a few ways of doing this. One way that I followed pretty much for every style was, there's a really good book called Syncopation by Ted Reed. And in the middle, there's a section that just says syncopation. That's all it says, and it's like 8 pages or something like that. And what that is just a bunch of rhythmic ideas that are pretty much based on the bebop tradition. So that's ideal for working on something like this. So then what I would do is keep the ostinato on those 3 limbs and then read the melody with the left hand. And I'm not exactly sure how the first line goes, but it's in more or less like this that I'm gonna play. A lot of drummers, we really like to play complicated stuff and really like to work on doing, 10 things at the same time. And that's really good, except that a lot of times those things don't have a very clear application into music. And let me remind you that, we're all here to play music. There's people that only want to play drums and want to do like pyrotechnics, and that's great. But if you're serious about playing music and making a living playing music, I think it's very important that you practice stuff that you think you're going to use. Of course, it depends a lot on what style you play. But for example, I wanted to play jazz, so I knew at some point in time I was going to have to trade choruses with a soloist. I was going to have to play over a form, let's say a 32-bar standard or a 12-bar blues. I was going to have to know melodies that I could play on. I was going to have to play over vamps, let's say a 4/4 vamp or a 7/8 vamp. So then I would program, in a little sequencer, just vamp, so that I could just work on ideas while I was keeping time, but more in a band setting, not so much with a click track, just to make it a little more musical. So I think it's very important that you guys really try to focus on things that you think you're going to be able to use later. I'm going to play the ostinato, and then with my left hand, I'm going to be playing first on beat 1 of every bar. And then I'm going to start sliding that hit by an eighth note, displacing it. And then another eighth note, and then another eighth note. So it starts covering the different beats of the bar. And then I'm going to be playing all quarter notes and then the upbeats. And then by the end of the sequence, I will have covered pretty much the whole bar. It doesn't matter if you come from Europe or Africa, Asia, it doesn't matter. Everybody has their own time and their own place and their own influences. And that's what's going to make you unique, because if we all are trying to play jazz and we're all trying to sound like somebody else, it's not going to work. If you do that and then you mix it up with what makes you unique, that's what makes your own voice come out louder and stronger, I think.